Hello, folks. End all be all here, and we are back for week two. And man, we've got a spicy week for you guys today. It's going to be a very tough week. As I went about 3-0 last week, which means that I'm about the 400 rank range, and I'm facing really tough opponents. All my opponents in this bracket are pretty good players with really decent lifetime banners and very good scores. My current opponent is Mall Elisa KB, but check this out. This is my pod for this week, and you can see we've got solo base in there. We finally managed to get matched up together in the same pod. Haven't been matched up in this round, but in the future, it is possible if both of us have the same win-loss record, we could potentially get matched up. So I'm really looking forward to that particular matchup. We also have quite a few other good guys in this group. There's Sifu-san, who's from Core Elite, another great player. We've got a few other players over here. Let's go over and talk about my current opponent, which is Mall Elisa KB, who's from the guild Old Dirty Blasters. 1 million, 1.03 million lifetime banners, has reached Kyber 454 before. Pretty decent record. He's got all the GLs, all the ultimates, got R9s on a couple of them as well. And then he's also got, he doesn't have Star Killer though. That's the one, gap in the roster. But otherwise, very similar roster to mine. I checked out the mods were actually very similar to mine. The speeds and all of that, extremely similar with the exception that my opponent does not have Star Killer. And if I take a look at my Mall Elisa's history, they typically tend to keep 4 to 5 GLs on defense. So typically tend to go GL heavy on defense, which is interesting because that's my play style as well. So it'll all come down to who is able to clear or who's able to clear more efficiently in this particular matchup. So this is how I decided to go for my particular defense. I decided to keep my same standard 4 GLs on defense, no change over there. I placed SLKR, Ray, and Sith Eternal over here in the front. And Sith Eternal I placed with Malik in there to prevent the Grievous counter. And then at the back, I kept my 4th GL, which is JMK, which is typically the GL I tend to hide at the back because it's a little more difficult to chip away at. And then I've got a couple of other weak teams over here, nothing great. I'm primarily planning on having my GLs hold the ground or strip banners. And then over here, I've got Darth Revan without Malik and Mon Mothma Dash. Pretty weak teams, medium B teams, I would say. But yeah, that's what we have up top. So it's basically only the 4 GLs who I'm hoping will give problems. And then also my opponent does not have good rebels and does not have the first order fleet maxed up as well for the Executor counter. So I decided to go all in on ship's defense and hope to get more banners than my opponent on ship defense. My opponent, I decided to place my Executor, my Negotiator, and Malevolence, which is a pretty tough wall to get through, especially if you don't have good rebels or a decent Tire Keylon to take the Executor. So I was hoping that this fleet zone stretched my opponent a bit. And there's always a danger that if my opponent doesn't clear, even I might not clear. But that's you have to go big when you're playing at this high league. And if you notice, I went with the attacker lineup for Executor just because my opponent does not have good rebels. But if he would mirror it or if he would use anything else like a burner team, then this should be pretty easy to take down. But I wanted at least one drop battle over there. All right, and then let's take a look at my opponent's defenses. So Mall Elisa KB, he decided to go with a few things he's changed up. I've never really seen a Hunter Bad Batch with the Shakti over there. That's a new team on their defense. And then a few other, I wouldn't say tough teams, but designed to be banner stripping. All of those teams up top. And then down south, rather than keeping 4 GLs on defense, I only see 2 GLs over here. There's Ray and there's Sith Eternal with Malak also, same squad that I have kept. And then there's Darth Revan with the Nest. And then there's Gas in there. So not really as tough of a defense that they usually keep in the front zone. But I was sure that there's going to be one or two GLs at the back. So I needed to save what I could for the back zone. All right, let's go ahead and get started trying to take out the front zone. Decide to start with the CLS versus gas. That's the standard counter. CLS is I really don't need it for any GL counter at the back as well, so I was comfortable enough using CLS in the front. Now, gas is another team that my opponent has usually never kept on placed on defense. It's always placed on, always saved on offense to take out other GLs. But this made me think that maybe my opponent has kept more GLs on offense than they usually do, just because they're not used to saving gas on defense. So here I am, got gas down, and I'm trying to get rid of fives as soon as I can. This wasn't a protection modded five. It had a little bit of defense and a little bit of health on it, and a speed arrow as well, which is why he went down that fast. My recommendation for modding fives would be really, really thick and tanky, a lot of protection, a lot of defense, and not as much health at all. Because if you're taking the CLS counter against it, exposed as percentage health damage, and you want as little of that damage to happen as possible. So I would minimize the health, maximize protection and defense on fives. So here it was pretty straightforward. Was able to get everyone down before gas stood up, so it was a 71 banner victory over there. Then I decided to take Lord Vader against the Sith Eternal team. Now my Lord Vader I usually keep on defense, but my people usually take it out quite cheaply, so I decided to just place it on offense. And this particular comp, Lord Vader, is pretty easy to solo against any comp of Sith Eternal, even ones with Malak in there. I've taken out, in Arena, I've taken out R7 Sith Empire team with Sith Eternal pretty easily with Malak, with about a minute and a half to spare. And here you can see I've placed the battle on auto right from the beginning, right from the moment I went into the battle, I placed it on auto and looked away, and it does a pretty decent job. Next counter, I decided to go with this is my standard counter against Ray teams these days. I go with my EP Star Killer, and here it's pretty straightforward. You basically do as many basics from both Mara Jade and EP as you can, so that Star Killer assists, and then you get to maximum, you get to his ultimate, which is calling the ship down. So you have to basically do that as fast as possible. Before Ray goes into the ultimate, it's advisable if you are able to get as many people into buff immunity, into damage immunity as possible. So that is always advisable. And if you're able to time the damage immunity on your own old Ben, for about the time that Ray does her whirlwind, then you can help to save a little bit of protection. So there, Ray goes into damage immunity, which is great. Now we need to get a few of the other folks into damage immunity. So basics over there, and we are at 87 stacks, almost reached full ultimate by my Starkiller team. Ray is about to go into her own ultimate. So I've got over here Jedi training Ray into her damage immunity. Now let's see if we can put a few other folks into damage immunity. Yep, I think that's R2D2. Then let's go and get Resistance Hero Finn into damage immunity. And now Ray has gone into ultimate. So we're not able to get Poe as well into damage immunity, but that's fine. 4 out of 5 have exhausted damage immunity by the time Ray comes out of her ultimate. So that's a good outcome to have. Here again, it's important to remember, do not use any specials with Starkiller when Ray is in her ultimate, because then what happens is your Jedi tank is going to get damage immunity, and Ray's ultimate is going to be spread out amongst 4 people rather than 5 people. So more damage gets done to your other 4 characters. So never do your special with Starkiller once Ray is about to come out of ultimate. So now you can see over here, Ray is out of ultimate and my team survived it pretty decently. I'm trying to do what I can. Oh yeah, now I bring the ship down and get rid of most everyone. And now that takes care of Ray as well. It's a good thing because usually I time out on JTR, but this time, since I was able to get JTR into damage immunity a little early, I was able to get the ship was able to bring her down pretty easily. So I think that's advisable in this team. Don't leave JTR till the end because the mastery stacking on her makes her really difficult to get down. All right, now I've decided to go with troopers against this Darth Revan team without Malik. There is Nest in there, but that's the reason I got my own Death Trooper in there. Just because he's got daze, he's got stun, and he's got the ability to apply Death Mark, which can soften the target a bit. And then I also got Gideon in there, who can apply Armor Shreds and make Nest a softer target to take out. Armor Shred is also useful for Sith Marauder because sometimes he gets really tanky to take out as well. So take out, I should have probably gone after Bastila first, but I went after HK first, that's fine. Now I'm taking out Bastila. And now we need to go after Sith Marauder. One huge mass assist, but he's got tons of defense, so he's not able to take, I'm not able to take him down, but no worries. He does have an armor shred, and one mass assist from him was able to take care of him. So apply one death mark on Darth Revan, take care of him, and now it's just a question of getting through Nest. Now the rest of the battle, I think it's pretty straightforward. You basically just stun Nest and keep cycling the turns with the rest of your characters, and it's just a matter of time when she comes out of her stun, and then you are able to take care of her pretty easily. So let me just fast forward the battle a bit because I think it goes on for a while. Excuse me. There you see, she's got Death Mark, Stun, Daze. I'm just waiting for her to get out of her for her to take a turn, and then it should be pretty easy to get her out. There's still plenty of time. It's about 2.5 minutes left, and there you go. 63 banners over there. Troopers was also a team I could afford to spend in the front. I did not want to spend Aura because that I definitely need for the back zone in case there's a JMK in there. So you can see over here, no JMK, but he does have another GL, Lord Vader. So this is typically a very light defense for my opponent. Typically he goes 4 GLs, but going 3 GLs, I had a feeling my opponent was going to play the efficiency game, so I needed to be extremely efficient on the rest of my battles. So that's what I'm doing over here. I decided to go ahead and take out the Lord Vader first with my JML Watt. That's my standard counter. Typically I take Raddus in there, but I really didn't need Jedi Knight Luke anywhere else. So I decided to just plug him in there, and it's a pretty straightforward battle. You get your ultimate as soon as you can. With Maul in there, the enemy Lord Vader does reach his ultimate fast, but it's really not that big a deal. You can, as long as you take out the main damage dealers, which is Maul, I think you should be pretty fine. I usually tend to go for the 2 tanks first. Over here, you notice my opponent has kept Candrass in there. Now, Candrass is typically the person that you keep in there if you want to make your Lord Vader team anti bounty hunter, because once Maul goes, Candrass goes again, because Maul damages enemies who have dots, and that really messes up your bounty hunter counter. But I was never planning to take bounty hunter over here in any case, so the presence of Candrass in there actually makes other counters easier, but it does create some amount of problems for the bounty hunter counter. So if you feel your opponent is definitely going to take bounty hunters against your Lord Vader, and if you want to force them to take a GL, then Candrass might be a good idea. Otherwise, I think the regular team might be the best option. All right, 61 banners there. Now for the rest, I'm trying to get as close to 65 as possible. So let's go ahead and take out the rest of the squads. Now the Hunter Shakti squad can get problematic if you don't have the right squad in there. Typically, they do a lot of damage, and if you take CLS in there, it becomes a problem because if you stun Shakti, then the rest of your Echo and Tech might go and daze and stun everyone, the rest of your team, and create some problems. If you stun Echo, then Shakti is going to cleanse because she's going to get turn meter and she's going to cleanse, and then your team is going to get annihilated as well. So CLS can get a little tricky against this. It has been known to work, but other squads also, Gas is going to work probably. Aura might work as well if you've got Omicron Zam in there. But other squads I would be a little wary about. I don't think Wampa might work just because there's too much of damage in this team, and this team has got an irresistible daze and stun, irresistible daze and healing immunity, which means that it could get problematic for the Wampa as well. But anyway, for this particular team, no problem at all. 65 banners. Let's go ahead and take care of the next team. All right, now I decided to go against the Geos, and Bad Batch is typically a really hard counter to a GL, to the Geos, but you need to make sure that the stuns land. Here I landed stun on one of the two cleansers, which is GBA, but I did not land a stun on Poggle. Not even the second time I could land the stun on Poggle. Here what I should have done is I should have done the basic with Hunter to apply an expose and reduce Poggle's turn meter so that he doesn't go and cleanse everyone. That was a mistake, and because of that the Geo started going and started taking turn after turn, and they eradicated my Wrecker pretty easily. But it's still not too late. With Bad Batch, you can never rule yourself out. You can always, these guys do so much of damage and they've got so much of staying power that it's pretty easy to recover from a bad loss. So here I lost Wrecker, lost a banner on Omega, but still managed to get 61 over there. At least it wasn't a loss. Next, decided to go against his counter team. I decided to take my own bounty hunters. This is a hard counter as well. You basically try not to trigger BAM, otherwise he applies damage immunity on someone. And then the moment you get a chance, annihilate him immediately, or disintegrate him rather. And then it should be pretty easy to take care of them. They did have dash in there, which wasn't much of a problem. It was a G11 dash, so was able to take care of him pretty easily. The rest of the team is no problem at all. So yeah, at this point I'm just trying to maximize my banners as much as I can, because it's definitely it's looking like it's going to be an efficiency match. All right, so just a couple of characters left over here. Should probably just gone after IG and finished him off because Dengar goes into stealth. And I think Dengar is about to go now and apply some thermals. There we go. But we do have a heal, I believe, coming up with Grief. So that takes care of getting everyone to 65. So we ended up with another 65 banners over here, which is great. All right. And then there's the Bounty Hunter squad over here. And I decided to take my own Maul since I had my full Maul team with Candrass and Armorer and Bo and Django. So this is overkill, but I didn't have any better use for this team, so I decided to just go ahead and use this against that. It's a 30-second battle usually. These guys, the amount of damage that they do, it's a very consistent 65 banners, especially if you take it against the right team. There we go. All right, let's now we have broken through to ships. Let's see what ships my opponent has for me. So I do see the Negotiator there and the Executor. So my opponent, just like me, has also kept the Negotiator and Executor. In addition, they've also kept the Raddus in there, which is again interesting. So not really, my opponent did a really decent job of making sure that there are not many teams over there which I could use my Wampa against. He had Night Sisters, he had Geos, he had Dengar, all of which applied Tenacity down. So there were very limited teams that I could actually take my Wampa against. But this seemed to be the Finn squad seemed to be a pretty straightforward option, and always good enough for a 68. And then only the Night Sister team is left, and I did still have my gas with me, so this is sort of overkill, but the no revive thing is pretty good against Night Sisters. Plus, these were all pretty relic up Night Sisters, R5 to R7 mostly, I think. So, using gas is perfectly fine, especially since I didn't have any better use for him. So that was an AoE, but luckily no health got taken out because of Gas's leadership. So I still have a chance of full banners at this stage. And now that Talzin is gone, there really is no other team which can do an AoE over here. So my Gas may lose some banners, but I think the others might be able to survive pretty well. There you go. And I think even my Gas gets full banners over here because there was not enough damage done by the Night Sisters to move the needle on Gas's protection. So another 65 over there. Now at this stage, my opponent also decided to go, and he also one-shot my board, completely one-shotted. I wasn't surprised because my opponent had 3 GLs on offense and was able to take care of my 4 GLs on defense pretty easily. I think they used probably JKR, JKL against my SLKR, and the 3 GLs against my other 3 GLs, and they were able to one-shot it. Not as efficient as me. They're about 16 banners behind in the character zone, but they did manage to make it an efficiency match, which is why I think it was important for me to manage my banners efficiently. It's strange that these days even 3 GLs on defense, 4 GLs on defense, that also manages to become an efficiency match for whatever reason. But the game is still not over yet. Both of us have to finish our fleet battles, and especially with triple fleet defenses these days, the match can swing either ways. So let's go and find out. Let's go and take care of the fleet battles. So what I decided to do was, I wanted to save my best ships against the Negotiator and against the Executor. So I decided to go with my Empire counter against Negotiator. I could use my Rebels as well. I had 2 options versus Negotiator, the Rebels and Empire. But Empire, especially with the new TIE Interceptor, is a really good counter against Negotiator comps, all Negotiator comps. If you see, this is the way that I approach Negotiator comps. If you see Ahsoka in there or 5s in there, then your Empire fleet has to start with the TIE fighter pilot. I think that's extremely important because what happens is when the enemy fleet goes, when Negotiator goes, 5s or Ahsoka, they'll be the fastest on the enemy fleet, and they typically tend to attack the enemy with the lowest health, which is always going to be your TIE fighter pilot. And if your TIE fighter pilot is faster than Ahsoka as well as 5s, then you need to go first, apply the special, get foresight on you, and then the enemy Ahsoka of 5s is going to target a TFP, whiff on the foresight, and give your enemy capital ship tons of turn meter and allow you to go first before the enemy team has even a chance to move. So that's what you'll see will happen over here. I decided to do my special on, I believe, Anakin, and then there you see Ahsoka went and attacked TIE fighter pilot and gave my capital ship turn, and now I have a chance to bring in a reinforcement before the enemy team has even had a chance to move, before the Anakin is moved or even the capital ship. So now I could bring in the TIE Interceptor because that'll apply buff immunity on everyone. It'll cleanse my debuffs. I don't have any debuffs to cleanse, so what I decided to do was I decided to go offense heavy, and I decided to bring in my Emperor Shuttle in there as first reinforcement and apply offense up on everyone. So that's what you'll see over here. I get my Emperor Shuttle in here, and the third ability, or the second special, or the third ability, when you do that, it applies offense up on all my allies. So you can see over here, offense up is applied, and I'm trying to land as many debuffs as I can. So you can see over here, I managed to get Anakin into the yellow and force unending loyalty to be done by General Kenobi instead of the mass assist. So you can see over here, the Y-Wing is gone and is taunting, but you can see the amount of damage that my team is doing with the offense up over here, which is pretty awesome. Managed to get a cleanse and a taunt up on my shuttle, my TIE bomber, and then I'm doing what I can to get the enemy down. Unfortunately, Plo came first and dispelled a ton of debuffs, but I still do have target locks on everyone, which gives additional offense to me because there's debuffs on the board, and it gives additional defense to my TIE bomber and makes him really, really tough to take out. You can see how much damage these guys are doing. It's ridiculous. That's one thing I love about the Empire fleet under Tarkin is just because of the amount of debuffs on the enemy ship. The damage boost is incredible. They really do a ton of damage. And the survivability is quite a lot as well. So now I decided to get in my Gauntlet because Gauntlet gives additional protection, max protection, defense, all of that stuff. And he's got a cleanse as well. So I'm just trying to survive now and get the rest of the ships down. The main damage dealers are done. We've got no Anakin in there. We've got no Taunt in there, Viving. So we are in a pretty decent shape. We just have to survive till we are able to recover some banners. So what I'm doing over here is trying to get rid of Plo Koon. And I love using that first ability by Tarkin because it gives offense up to my team. It gives turn meter to my team as well. So really, really great option. So I'm controlling the battle well enough. And I believe I've only lost TIE Fighter Pilot till now. Recover some more protection and now take care of this fleet. So now we end with about 65 banners. Not the best banners, but at least I was able to one-shot the Negotiator without requiring a decent ship. So that's the advantage of the Empire fleet on offense. Now, against the Raddus fleet, it's one of the weaker ships to be placed on defense, but you can't underestimate it. If you delay on them too much, especially with the tank in there right now, if you delay taking them out too much, then they might reach the ultimate and you'll be forced to do a double shot on them. First order, I didn't want to waste my rebels on them because I wanted to save my rebels for a potential cleanup on Malevolence, on Executor, sorry. But first order, you can either do a Raddus mirror, or if you've placed your Raddus on defense, you could take your first order fleet in there. The way that you approach this battle is always apply the Hunted on Rey's Millennium Falcon because she gains tons of turn meter. Apply Hunted there and then try to get down the bomber as soon as possible because the bomber will be taunting quite a lot consistently. So you need to get the bomber down. And then if there's a tank like Clone Sarge in there, like you see over here, control the tank, try to get him down to below full protection so that you're able to, attack the resistance fleet and do AoEs when you can to get rid of the foresight because the foresight, doing specials on the foresight is what enables the Raddus to get to its ultimate fast. So I got rid of the taunt on Clone Sarge and then took out one of the resistance fleets. I think it was the resistance pilot or resistance trooper, or the X-Wing rather. Now I decide to get in my other first order fleet. I probably didn't even need another fleet in there. You can just go in with a 5 first order fleet against Raddus and it'll be perfectly fine. You can save that extra banner for yourself. Not much protection recovery, unfortunately, on the Raddus fleet, but there is plenty of damage. And, just the 5 first order ships are more than enough to take down Raddus. So here, I'm trying to do as many assists as I can with my silencer and take down Clone Sarge. And now it's just one ship left to take care of. One big hit. That got dodged. Raddus fleet does have tons of evasion and foresight. So dodge is something that you have to get used to if you are facing the Raddus fleet. But as you can see over here, with 2.5 minutes left, managed to do a decent enough job and take it out pretty easily for 68. So Raddus is usually not an issue on defense. So my opponent did have a chance to go, and they were able to take out my fleet. That was a double shot on my Executor. I think they might have taken a burner fleet and Malevolence against that. And then he one-shot my Negotiator fleet, and then a couple of battles against my Malevolence fleet. I think they started off with rebels first, but as I mentioned, my opponent's rebels are not that developed, so that failed. But they took in a couple of other ships, I think probably leftovers, but they managed to do a decent job of getting down to only one ship left. At this point of time, my opponent messaged me and said that he didn't have any other ships left. I think he still had one capital ship left, but no side ships left. So they weren't able to take down that one spy who's remaining behind. I think it's spy. Yeah, they weren't able to take down the one spy who's remaining behind. So they um, they they basically gave up at this point of time. So I was happy that my fleet was able to hold, and I was able to get the the hold over there. So now all I need to do is I've at this point I've already won. I'm ahead of my opponent by about 28 banners or so. So I've already won even if I don't clear this. So this is a chance for me to experiment and see what else would work against the Executor. And what I decided to do over here is use the Mace burner with the Raddus to see if that is able to do a decent job. I did write about this briefly in my fleet strategy guide. This is potentially a good use for Raddus, is you take in a Mace burner fleet, burn all the cooldowns from the Executor, and then you follow it up with the Raddus to take out the enemy fleet. But there's a very specific order of operations that you should do over here. So ideally, at this stage, you take in your three weakest burner fleets that you can afford to waste on this one over here. So I've taken in my Jedi Counselor, I've taken in my Sith Fighter, as well as the TIE Reaper in there. If you want a slightly beefy fleet to exhaust another ability, that's also perfectly fine. You can see over here the Mars ability got exhausted. Razor Crest did his special. Xanadu Blood did his special. At this point of time, if your ship would have survived, it's actually ideal because Houndstooth hasn't gone yet. So Houndstooth can then go in and do their special and apply taunt. So then all the necessary specials would be exhausted. If you've got a tanky enough ship to survive another turn, then the enemy capital ship Executor will go again and do the heal / taunt ability on Houndstooth again, and that will waste that turn as well. So if I had a slightly more tanky ship, I would have been able to exhaust two more abilities, which is Houndstooth Taunt and Executor Heal, and that I think is could be crucial if you're trying to use Raddus as a cleanup fleet on defense. All right, so let's go ahead and get the Raddus in and see how successful the Raddus can get against the Executor with the cooldowns exhausted. So the way that you have to play this battle is you need to go in with your Ray's Millennium Falcon, or you have to go in with your Resistance X-Wing, your Poe, and your tank, which is the Star Fortress, and Ray's Millennium Falcon in the backups, in the reinforcements. That's extremely crucial. Your Resistance X-Wing especially has to be in the starting lineup because you're going to dispel Houndstooth and apply daze on him and prevent him from doing any more taunts. And as you'll see over here. As a backup, it's good to have a tank in there. Clone Sarge is a great tank to have. I also threw in. I was debating whether to throw in, Lando's Millennium Falcon or another or the Old Republic ship, Karth's ship, Ebenhawk. It's ideally advisable to go in with one tank like Clone Sarge and then another good attacker who can get a lot of damage done, a good finisher. I think Wedge ship is a great finisher because when he comes in as a reinforcement, he applies buff immunity and healing immunity, which means that the enemy Houndstooth will be easier to take out with Wedge ship in there. Lando's Millennium Falcon is another great finisher as well. You can get Cassian to call a targeted assist. You can get yeah, there are tons of really good ships that you can call in. You can get in Ghost or Phantom as well. Tons of options. All right, but let's go ahead with this and see the order of operations over here in order for this fleet to be successful. So I'm going to pause the battle over here briefly. You can see over here, Houndstooth has gone ahead and done his taunt. So even if you're not able to exhaust the taunt in the first battle, Houndstooth is probably going to go ahead and use the taunt over here, and then you can see over here the enemy Executor went and used their healing ability to apply the taunt on or heal somebody and basically exhaust the ability to reapply taunt on the Houndstooth. Now at this point of time, with both the cooldowns exhausted, once you use your resistance pilot or your resistance X-Wing to dispel your Houndstooth, there's no other way for Houndstooth to get taunt back until at least a couple of turns. So that gives you the flexibility or the option to go and target some of the other ships and take them down before your Executor gets too far ahead. So that's what I'm going to do now. So, unfortunately, some debuffs were applied, so I used the heal ability almost immediately. And at this point of time, you see over here, I've used the X-Wing to apply daze and to dispel the taunt over there. And this is extremely important because if there was, that's why the cleanse from Raddus is extremely important, because if there was breach on my resistance pilot or on my Poe, then the Houndstooth would not have exhausted the would not have lost its taunt, and that would have been problematic. So it's important that you do the cleanse first, get rid of the breach, and then when your resistance pilot's turn comes in, your X-Wing's turn comes in, you cleanse the taunt and apply daze on the enemy Houndstooth. That's extremely important. If you get stuck behind a taunt, then you're not going to make much progress with this fleet. So now that that is done, I'm not able to focus down on XP because he's under stealth. So I'm just going to wait till he comes out of stealth, and then I'm going to attack him. The way that you want to do this is first go after your Xanadu Blood and take him out, and then target some of the other fleets as they come along. Now here, what I plan to do, I think, is I will do a mass assist to try to get the enemy Xanadu Blood down. So that's what I'm probably going to do over here, which is the second special ability, the Tico Sister Legacy. They do less damage, about 50% less damage, but a mass assist is a decent option anyway. So that's that. Another thing to keep in mind is save Poe's big hit until you're able to get a clear shot on Xanadu Blood. So Poe over here, he does extra damage against enemies without protection. I think he's a guaranteed crit against enemies, and it can't be evaded against enemies without protection. And the mass assist from the Star Fortress ensured that the Xanadu Blood is without protection. So I was able to follow it up with a big hit from Poe and able to take care of Xanadu Blood over there. So that's very critical. Do not use Poe's big hit until you're able to get a clear shot on Xanadu Blood. So now that Xanadu Blood is out, now I focus on getting the other ship out. Now, unfortunately, Boba came in over here and started taunting, which is the worst case scenario. If IG-2000 comes in, then it's a much easier scenario because he's a much more weaker ship to take out, and you're not stuck behind a taunt. But in this case, Boba has come in and he's taunting, and he's got retribution. So he's going to attack back and start applying target lock. So you have to be a little careful at this stage. There's no chaff on my fleet yet. At this point of time, I had an option. I could have gotten my Ebon Hawk for dispelling the target lock and delaying the enemy Executor's ultimate and getting chaff on everyone. That is one option. I could have gotten my my clone sergeant to tank and take some heat off, but my tank is still alive and around. And especially, my tank is only 4-star, the Star Fortress. But if you've got a 7-star Star Fortress, I would definitely advise get your resistance ship in. That is Ray's Millennium Falcon. So that's what I'm going to do over here. Because if you've got a 7-star Fortress, your tank is going to survive for a little bit longer, and you can afford to get the Ray's Millennium Falcon in. So at this point of time, it's just a matter of time before my fortress dies, but I can afford to wait to get in Clone Sarge in the next turn. Now, at this point of time, I'm going to do as many specials as I can with my resistance fleet while they have foresight on them, because I definitely want to get to my ultimate as soon as possible. My fortress is out, and these guys are doing everything that they can to take out my Poe. So this is unfortunate. I lost my Poe, but there's still hope. That my ultimate is about 3 turns away. So as long as I do a few more specials with foresight on me, I still have a chance to get to my ultimate. Again, another piece of bad luck. The resistance pilot was taken out, resistance X-Wing, and I have this is a dicey situation to be in, and that's why I needed to get my clone sergeant over here. If my Star Fortress was a little bit beefier and tankier, then he would have probably survived till here, and a couple of my other ships would have also been hung around. But because my Star Fortress is only 4-star, it died extremely easily. And that's why it might be a good situation if you've got a low star type fortress, then it might be a better idea to get either Ebenhawk or your clone Sarge in there to take some heat off your other resistance fleet. But as you can see over here, I've got my clone sergeant now, and I'm able to survive a little bit more. So was able to get the mark off of my fleet, and I decided to go ahead and take out the Boba ship while I had the chance. And the enemy fleet has just got the contract, but I managed to get my ultimate right on time. You can see over there, I was able to take out the Executor, and from this point onwards, it's a very easy cleanup. Even if my ships are not able to clean up the enemy fleet, it's a very easy cleanup for any other ship. You don't even need a tough ship to go in. You can take in your Thrawn if you've kept your Thrawn on offense. You can take in your Thrawn with a few bulky ships like your B-28 bomber or any other tank that you have lying around, and take out the enemy ships one by one. Because the Executor is not there, you can just take in your Thrawn and just stall it out till you reach the ultimate. Take out the Houndstooth, take out the other ships one by one. There's no bonuses, no fear of reaching the ultimate, none of that stuff. There's just a Razor Crest unique to worry about. But once it's a pretty easy job to clean up after this stage. You can, I had my Rebel fleet, which is what I'm going to take in right now to clean it up. But you don't even need that. All you need is Thrawn and a few leftover fleets, and you should be able to triple shot the Executor pretty easily from here on. So I'd saved my Rebel fleet primarily to be able to clean up a tough Executor leftover fleet. But this is a pretty easy cleanup. Once Raddus has taken care of the Executor, I didn't even need this many ships. It's a pretty easy job to clean up. But yeah, even if I had ended up using my Rebel fleet to counter something else, like say instead of the Raddus, if the Malevolence was on defense, and I ended up using my Rebel fleet on the Malevolence, then I could have used my First Order fleet, for example, to clean this up, which would have been an extremely easy job as well. So this actually allows you to place your Negotiator, Executor, and Malevolence on defense, and at the same time take out your enemy's Executor, Malevolence, and Negotiator as well. For your enemy's Negotiator, you can use your Empire fleet, your Tarkin. For your enemy's Malevolence, you can use your Rebel fleet. And for your enemy's Executor, you can use either the First Order, your TIE Aquilon if you have him developed, or you could use Mace, Raddus, and First Order, those triple fleets, to clean up the enemy fleet if you don't have the Aquilon developed for a first shot from First Order. So I think it is 3 battles, and that means a loss of 30 banners. But if you think about it in the big picture, you are taking out the Executor extremely cheaply using Mace, Raddus, and potentially First Order or Chimera with B ships, which is, I think, a relatively cheap way to do things, especially if that allows you to save some of your tougher fleets on defense or on offense. Then I think utilizing these 3 cheap ships is a decent way to not have to worry about your enemy Executor. So I think I'm probably going to be doing that more often, is using Mace and Raddus combination to take it out. I think if you get the right amount of stars on the Star Fortress, as well as if you get the right attackers as a backup, then you might be able to one-shot or two-shot the Executor pretty easily with just Mace and Raddus. You don't even need a third ship in there. So I'm going to be working on refining the strategy and working on seeing what else can be done to make the Mace Raddus counter more effective and a more consistent double shot. I think that's going to be my plan. All right, so that's it. It was a good battle. Really enjoyed the defense that Maul Eliza KB had set for me. Thanks a ton for that, and hope you had a good battle as well. And I really hope that I get matched up with Solo in the next few matches. As of now, my second match is not against Solo, unfortunately. It's against another member from Core Elite, which I think is it's a tough opponent, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to beat him to be able to meet Solo in the championship final match. But I'm going to give it my best, and if that's the case, then hopefully the third and final match I will get to go head to head with Solo, which I've been thinking about for a while. I think it'll be a really good match for both of us, and it'll be great for you guys as the viewers as well. So watch out for that one. Keep your fingers crossed that we get matched up in the final match. But until then, I will take care and. Be sure to catch me on Gambit Fight Night. I'm actually going to be fighting my next opponent on Gambit Fight Night tomorrow on Friday. So be sure to check me out over there on Twitch. All right, that's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will catch you guys later. Take care and happy gaming.